last drawing I made was of Enrico Fermi. I got really interested in the Fermi paradox,
Uh-huh.
I have that's funny. I have a townhouse in Montrose, and my neighbor is she's an astronaut. You know,
Mhm.
she's like went up to the space station and spent 6 months there. I think she's a biologist or something. But one day she was walking her dog and in the neighborhood, and I went up and introduced myself and talked to her. And I asked her what she thought of the Fermi paradox, and she kind of looked at me like I was crazy, you know, almost like she didn't know what I was talking about. And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I heard of that." And then she just kind of explained to me, "Well, when I'm up there, I'm working, you know, I'm doing experiments and shit. I don't have time to just sit around scratching my head thinking about the Fermi paradox."
Right.
I don't know. I got to tell you, I was really disappointed by that answer. It's kind of funny that way, but
But that's
yeah, I
very
mean,
typical
it's
of like other, people that I mean, I have followed the space program forever. I'm a big fan of all of that. And
yeah,
that's a very standard astronaut kind of response. It's like, look, we got a
yeah,
job to do. If we don't do the job right, we're gonna die, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
it's
complications beyond what I can comprehend.
kind of,
But it seems to me it also kind of a nice little nutshell of humanity in and of itself. It's like we get busy with the stuff we have to do to stay alive, and the bigger picture is kind of those are for other people that have
yeah,
more leisure time to.
those are for
But
artists.
certainly
I don't
Enrico
know.
Fermi was no person of leisure. So I don't know. I think it's a relevant question. I think it's kind of baffling when you break it down. Um,
So just
but
to
another.
put it in context really quick, because I know there's going to be people listening who don't really know what that is. Can you kind of
Oh yeah,
describe what?
sure. Well, so he was a physicist on the Manhattan Project, and he was sitting around having lunch with some fellow physicists, and UFOlogy, I guess, was kind of a new thing, and coupled with our ability to see further and further into space, and they were talking about I guess, the odds of alien existence or extraterrestrial life. And they thought, well, the universe is 13.8 billion years old, and this is how big it is. This is where we are. This is what we can see. And then Fermi just kind of said, well, where is everybody? And they all knew that it's like, well, yeah, given the data that we have, and we know that we are here, right? We know life is possible because we're it. You know, where is, how come there's no, I mean, there's something like 400 billion other solar systems in the Milky Way, something like that. You know, the odds that we're the only complex life, it just seems ridiculous. But yet we look around and we see absolutely no evidence of anything designed. You know what I mean? It's all just natural black holes and quarks and all, I don't know, whatever, anything that's not designed. So I don't know. It's really strange. I know there's physicists that think, yeah, it's so complex and it's so rare that we are the only complex life in the universe. And I find that really interesting because that turns the whole, then we become anthropocentric again. You know what I mean? It's like man does become the center of the universe again. If we are the only, I don't know. I find it interesting. And then that led me to another quote that I read the other day that said, human beings are the universe's expression of wanting to observe itself. And I thought that was really hopeful. You know, for some reason that really turned me on. Um, I don't know, you know, you read about it, it's like, well, if we do see evidence of aliens, that's terrifying because how anytime two organized living things come together, the one that the superior technology decimates the other one. I mean, that's just kind of the way it's worked on this planet. So I don't know how happy we would be to see a race of superior aliens headed our way. You know, that not be so great.
It's a frame of reference from our point of view, you know, having no idea what frame of reference like any other species, if there's alien species visiting, like what they're coming from, you know.
It's bound to involve resources, though. You know what I mean? Uh, Well, I mean, one would assume physics is the same on different planets, like gravity and molecular biology is similar. And for life to expand, it needs resources, and it seems like that would be the reason. I'm obviously a very newbie to all this, and a layperson when it comes to astrophysics, but um, I don't know. I I find it very fascinating. Some other another direction. I haven't made these drawings yet, but I found a really beautiful drawing of I mean a beautiful image of Typhoid Mary. And I was going to make a nice drawing of Typhoid Mary because I think there's a very similar uh, thing happening. I did a little research on her, and she was this harbinger of, she was asymptomatic of typhoid fever, and she didn't believe she had it, but she was clearly spreading it to anyone that she came in contact with. And I just find that kind of, I don't know, there's something there. I'm not sure what it is, you know. If we think of thoughts and ideas as viral, then you know, that's pretty powerful stuff too,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
for the better or for the
I mean,
worse.
I
Yeah.
feel like we can just look at the world and see evidence of how thoughts and ideas have viral
Yeah.
impact, um, for better and for
Yeah.
worse, you know?
And then sometimes I wonder, as humans, are we just sort of tools being used for, say, I don't know, technology, you know, to get to a certain point where it becomes this sort of thing that starts to evolve in a more directed way than the human species. I don't know. It's pretty wild. There's so many different tangents that it
Yeah,
can go, you know.
absolutely. I got to absorb a little bit of that. Big stuff. Just to go back to, you know, we're in such an infancy period of our understanding of the rest of the universe, you know, and I mean, we've barely glimpsed anything that's out there.
Yeah.
But we have the telescopes that we do are just looking at such a tiny little slice of what's
Yeah.
available, you know, from the vantage point of the time where we are. And so, you know, we're looking
Yeah.
backwards at events that have happened. Um, and I just feel like a lot of those questions, while I absolutely love going there and exploring them, and I find them to be worthwhile. And um, I feel like it's important to remember that there's so much we don't know, and that we don't have the capacity to know right now because of
Hmm.
either we don't have the available tools, or perhaps just as a species, our ability to comprehend, um, you know, what might be very complicated physics, like our brains just can't do it in the same way that a frog can't do math, you know. It's just like,
Yeah.
what's our capacity, and leaving space for that, you know. That's kind of where I always come to, is like, this, where are we, what is our understanding right now, and not having like the hubris to assume that we have those kinds of answers, you know, or that maybe we're even pointed in the right direction. Um,
Yeah, or what scares me is to realize that the answers that we do come up with, these are all just thoughts, you know what I mean? These are, I mean, any meaning that we construe is construed in our heads. And I think that it's easy to extrapolate that into the world because it allows us to function, and it allows us to do things and manipulate stuff around us. But that doesn't mean that the meaning itself is anywhere except in between the synapses of our neurons. You know what I mean? I think things just are, and I think that it's people that I meet in my life that touch my life that have a sort of implicit understanding uh, of that situation and an acceptance of that situation. I don't even think that they would know that they have it, but I can tell that they have it.